I have a set of thoughts that I want to talk about and it is regarding the theme of asking God and desiring to have what we think is good or to become a way that we think is good based off of the righteousness of other people. So the most common way this happens in religious circles is we read a story about a person in the scriptures, or we maybe read a biography, or you meet someone in real life, and this person has an amazing set of characteristics. Generally, when we talk about people in the scriptures, they live lives abnormally high in faith, danger, suffering, service, love, all of these things that you could actually just call the character of Christ. They live them to a higher degree than other people. And because they live that way, they have equivalently different experiences with God. Now, it's a very incorrect idea to view experiences with God as some sort of achievement or as an end instead of a means, or as signifying that you have somehow arrived, or as a symbol of your own righteousness, or something like that. So, what do I mean? I had a friend make a comment to me in a group of people that we were with, and he said something like, when we read about Nephi in the scriptures, a prophet in the Book of Mormon, uh, we desire to have the things that Nephi had. He saw great and marvelous visions. He saw the tree of life, and he was led by the Spirit to do many great and hard things. And because of what he did, he was eventually led on a huge journey and made it to the promised land. And he was a prophet and a king and a seer. And these are all shiny things that people love to spend all their time spinning their wheels about. But my friend was wise in saying that we desire those things, but then we don't desire the other things that Nephi did, which is traveled in the desert for many years, went without food, broke his bow, was betrayed by his brothers, and they tried to kill him multiple times. He basically suffered a good amount of the depth and breadth of the sufferings that you can suffer as a person in this life. Physical and spiritual deprivation uh, of many kinds. Again, in similitude and in similarity to Jesus. And what the thing is that you cannot have the good things that Nephi has. You can't be a prophet and a king and a seer and have many revelations from on high and have experiences with God that exceed that of normal people and feel joy far beyond what normal people feel without the deprivation in the desert and the betrayal and the anger and the service. So why is that? And it's funny. It's a metaphor. The metaphor is they're two ends of the same stick, and it's because going through and holding faithful, retaining and improving your character through incremental trials of greater and greater hardship is what yields improved character in such a way that you can become someone like that. And I have this image. Let me switch over so you can see this. Let's see. You see this tree. So this fruit over here, this lone single apple, it's a very nice looking apple. large size. We see the apple and we say, I would really like to have that apple. And we really ignore that it's the end point of this branch that goes all the way down. And first of all, look how thick the branch is and look how far it's had to reach. But it's also just a single part of this enormous tree. And what is it about trees? Trees and fruit. It's like that's one of the most basic things about this earth, the existence of trees and fruit. And yet there's so many rich lessons that you can learn by just thinking about them and looking at them. But look at this tree. Look how massive it is. You know, this tree is very old. It has been around for a long time. It started as a much smaller tree. Look, here's some offshoots or maybe other trees over here. It started as a little seed and as a twig, and it popped up out of the ground, and it withstood the wind, and it stretched its roots down farther and farther and farther till it had the nourishment that it needed, and it grew this trunk, this mighty trunk, and all of these leaves. And, you know, can you eat leaves? Not as a person, generally. And so it had to go through all this work and become, and it's weathered and hard and gnarled, and it can withstand so much. And it had to go through all of that simply to, at the end of that, generate that fruit. And this fruit, it does not exist independent of this tree. Now, someone could come along and could pluck the fruit off the tree and hand it to somebody else, and they could eat that fruit for a day, and maybe they could enjoy that experience. But eating the fruit is not the same thing as becoming the tree. And so it turns out when you ask God for the blessings of the fruit of that tree, what he gives you generally is the seed to become the tree. And if you're smart, you'll take the seed and realize that it's a much better gift. Now, what's the difference between him handing you a piece of fruit and him handing you the seed? Well, one is the immediacy. The seed's not worth a whole lot when it's given to you in terms of what experience it will give you. There's a great deal of patience and hardship between you and fruit if all you have is a seed. If you have the fruit, you can consume the fruit and you can eat it immediately. And when it's gone, it's gone. You have no way of becoming or gaining more fruit unless the same person is willing to give it to you. But, you know, people are emblematic of trees in this case. It's much, much better to become the tree. And then you can grow as much fruit as you want. And you can give that fruit to people. When you are a person and you eat the fruit, you're full of joy. And you can be happy that you received that fruit. But when you're the tree, the joy of everyone who eats your fruit is your joy as well. And so we need to find the bravery and the courage to be patient and to become the tree. There are not many people who are willing to become the tree. There are more people that could become the tree than presently think they can become the tree. And so my invitation to you in this video is to stop longing for and seeking for the short-term experiences that you desire with God, independent of the trials that yield them. Realize that when you pray to God for fruit, he's going to hand you a seed, and that your job is to plant that and to nourish it despite the wind and the rain and the drought and the fire. Every single one of those things will help you to grow. You know, if you grow tomato plants inside your house and you don't get a nice breeze on them or put a fan on them or something, and they go too long, They'll grow nice and tall, and the stalk will be thin and unable to support any weight. You need the resistance. So rejoice when you're going through hard things that shows you where you lack. And realize that if you have something like that in your life, or many somethings like that, that you only have it because God is showing you how to make your tree trunk stronger and your branch longer and your ability to bear fruit more productive.